Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor, Madison365, with your daily update for today, Tuesday, October 5th. Yesterday, there was no daily update because there was no Facebook. Facebook was down all day yesterday, in case you hadn't noticed, and it had come back up. It was kind of back online by about 4 o'clock, but I couldn't post anything, like pages, like Madison365 couldn't post anything, so I thought best just not to do an update yesterday. So we'll catch you up. We got 2 days worth of COVID numbers, and yesterday would have been Metcalf's Monday. So today we're going to call it Metcalf's Tuesday. Metcalf's is a supporter of Madison 365 and of the Daily Update. It's a fourth generation family owned and operated market with stores in Madison at Hilldale Mall and behind the Westtown Mall, and in Wauwatosa at 68th and State. During the month of October, they're partnering with the Wisconsin Breast Cancer Coalition, raising funds to support their efforts to speak out about breast cancer through legislation, collaboration, and education. Donations can be made at Metcalf's Hilldale or Westtown Mall all month long, and you can do your shopping there too, and you can order at shopmetcalfs.com anytime for pickup or delivery. And we appreciate Metcalfs and their support of the update. So here's the numbers today. They're just kind of bad. We've been most of last week, we kind of talked about how things were leveling off, might be getting better. The daily average of new cases was coming down, and today that's not the case anymore. I can't say that it's permanently upward, right? But just today the numbers are bad, which we don't want to call that a trend yet, so don't panic. I don't want to scare anybody. But here's what we have for Monday. Yesterday, we had 1,478 new cases, which is, that seems high for a Monday. That's the last couple of Mondays have been in that, over 1,000 range. And the daily average of new cases was 2,506 as of yesterday. Today, we have 3,549 new cases. That's a lot. That's the most we've seen in a couple of weeks. That our confirmed case daily average jumped to 2,663. So we got about 160 more cases per day today than we did yesterday. 7-day average went up by 160. Percent of positives test, that's kind of the if there was one number that you want to keep an eye on, it's this one. Right? We never want to just look at one number in isolation, but if there was one, this would be the one. The percent of positive tests is an indicator of how much you have control of the spread. We're at 8.5, again, for the second consecutive day. 8.5% of all COVID tests in the past 7 days have come back positive. That's really, really high. That should be 3 or lower. It was, below 1 in middle of June. Now it's been, and here's what I don't like about this. I don't like that it's 8.5, but also for most of September, it was hovering right around 8%. And then it was acting like it was going to go down. It was like 7.9, 7.5, and now it's back up to 8.5. So I don't like that trend either. Now, deaths is kind of like, there's another important number to keep an eye on. We are now at 8,064 total deaths for the state of Wisconsin. Yesterday, on Monday, the daily average of deaths, I'm trying to read my handwriting here. The daily average of deaths was 15 yesterday. There were 17 deaths confirmed on Sunday and another 17 on Saturday, it looks like. Even though they didn't report those days, I was able to, just do a little math to figure out there were 17 deaths reported on Saturday, 17 on Sunday, 11 new deaths confirmed on Monday, which puts the daily average at 13. So the daily average of deaths actually came down slightly between yesterday and today. No, actually, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I misread this. Yesterday, the daily average of deaths was 17. It actually got all the way up to 17 and is now back down to 13. So that's even better news. Hospitalizations is another important indicator of where we're at, right? We've been hovering around 1,100 hospitalized for several weeks. Over the weekend, it went up considerably to 1,165. So as of that was 51 more than Sunday. So that it was hovering right around 1,100 right up until Sunday. Then Monday went up by 51 to 1,165. Today it's back down a little bit. It's 1,136, which is 29 fewer than yesterday. So not great. Still, general trend has been upward, but it's been very slowly upward. So I get that kind of jump in one day, a little disconcerting. But then it came back down today. So, we'll just keep an eye on that and hope that it doesn't continue to go up too much faster. So that's kind of where we are. Linda makes a good point here. The positive test rate reflects how widely the population being tested. It does. However, you'd be surprised. I'm continually surprised. And Linda's point here is a good one. That since there's the big community testing sites aren't open anymore, they're not doing as much testing. Part of the positive test rate, part of the reason we like to look at the positive test rate is it's not only about the number of cases, but it's the amount of testing. The more testing you do, the lower the positive test rate, theoretically. So low positive test rate indicates that you're doing a lot of testing, which is good. Right? It's not like you're trying to artificially push that number down. But more testing is always better because you can catch the cases and isolate folks and trace it and do all that stuff. Now, I am surprised that the difference between back when we had the community testing sites open and the amount of testing that's happening now is not that big, actually. It's not nearly as the difference is not nearly as big as you'd think. It certainly wasn't, because I thought the same thing. And I looked into it a little bit, and we're actually we're still doing 30 in the range of 30,000 tests per day, 35,000 tests per day. Which back in, let's look at like, so I'm just looking back here, like November, December last year when testing was really high, we were like 39,000 per day, 40,000 per day. Because what happens is healthcare workers, college students are getting tested twice a week now. Healthcare workers are getting tested basically every day. Teachers are getting tested once a week. All these professions, certain classes of people are getting tested a lot, repeatedly. Whereas at those big community testing sites, for the most part, people went there once. Like I got tested twice over a year. Right. And that's most people. Like you either feel like you've been exposed, you went to a thing outside, or you're feeling sick, so you go get tested. People weren't going to those community testing sites every day or even every week for the most part. Some people were, but for the most part, they weren't. Whereas there's people in these certain professions are getting tested every day, all the time. So the difference between, having those community testing sites open was only an extra 5,000 tests per day when we're already doing 30 to 35,000 a day. And again, your point is absolutely a good one. And there was I'm not saying you're wrong, but I was surprised that the amount, even without those community testing sites open, we're still doing a lot of testing, 35 to 36, 40,000 tests a day still right now. And you're right, more places are having mandated testing. So that's kind of a trade-off. Like with the community testing sites closed, other places, more professions, more places are mandating that workers get tested weekly, 2 times a week, whatever. A lot of people are getting home tests. I've taken a couple home tests. My family's taking a couple home tests, but those aren't reported anywhere, and they're scarce. Like they're usually like if you see some at Walgreens or something, buy them because it's kind of ridiculous how scarce they are. But the positive test that we're seeing right now is based on relatively still high levels of testing, even though it's not like broad community testing. There's still 35,000 tests every day. So thank you for the question, Linda. I appreciate that. I think that is all I have for you right now. We will get a variant report on Thursday. We will get next week, right, on the 15th. We will get, well, that's not next week, 10 days from now. Shoot. On the 15th, we'll get the vaccinated versus unvaccinated comparison for the month of September. So that's still 10 days away. But other than that, we'll just keep watching these numbers as they continue to go up. So we will see. Appreciate your sitting through that. We're going to be right back with some more news for you from the state. We got a new candidate for statewide office. We have some other news for you on Madison365.org right after this. All right, State Senator Lena Taylor has, when Tom Barrett was nominated to become the ambassador to Luxembourg, Mayor Tom Barrett of Milwaukee, everybody assumed Lena Taylor would run for mayor in Milwaukee because she ran for mayor in 2020 against Tom Barrett. Tom Barrett won that race. A couple other candidates have jumped into the mayoral race. That will be soon at some point whenever the U.S. Senate gets around to confirming the nomination. Ernell Lucas, Cavalier Johnson are both in. There's some other candidates possible. Lena Taylor surprised everybody yesterday by announcing she's going to run for state lieutenant governor in the primary for 2022. Mandela Barnes, the current holder of that office, is running for United States Senate and will not run for another term as lieutenant governor. So Lena Taylor had an announcement event yesterday to announce that, and we will. I'm supposed to be talking with her tonight or tomorrow to get some a bit more insight into that campaign. Also today, we have a profile on Wisconsin Dreamers, which was a student organization back in 2016, started to support Dreamers, DACA kids, and who have unique challenges because they're not eligible for federal financial aid or anything like that. So this student group at UW, University of Wisconsin, has now expanded, statewide, to become a statewide nonprofit organization supporting DACA students and Dreamers across the state, Green Bay, Oshkosh, everywhere across the state. So Angelica Usery, our reporter, has that profile on Madison365.org right now. And finally today, Dr. Michelle Robinson has been named the first ever director of the State Department of Health Services Office of Health Equity. She is currently works at the Department of Children and Families, where she's the director of the Office of the Inspector General and the Equity and Systems Change Research and Policy Officer. And she will be moving to DHS to head this new Office of Health Equity, which will lead the work to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion within the department, while also coordinating the development and implementation of policies and programs to address root causes of health inequities. That's all according to a press release from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. We've talked about health equity before, right? It's a big, big problem. It's a big issue. Black and brown folks just have different health outcomes than us white people. It's a real thing. It's a real problem. So to see the DHS create an office to address that issue is pretty gratifying, and Dr. Robinson will be the leader of that office. All right, that's all the news I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful evening. We'll be back here tomorrow with more news and more COVID updates. We hope the numbers look better tomorrow. We'll cross our fingers for that. In the meantime, Keep your masks on. Oh, speaking of masks, Dane County extended its mask mandate to November 5th. No surprise there. Nothing changed in the order. It just got renewed. So it will it'll run for a month from today. It'll be till November 5th. I would fully expect it to be extended another month beyond that, depending on how things go over the next 30 days. So that's all I have. Have a wonderful evening. We'll be back here tomorrow. Till then, take care. We'll see you soon.
This is 365 Media.